Welcome to this brand new episode of the She Scales podcast, where today we're going to be talking about why you're not yet making 20 to 50k months in your business and what the tangible things are that you can be doing to change that today. I'm so freaking excited to dive into the meat and bones of this episode. I'm going to be giving you a flavor of both the intrinsic things you can be doing on an internal perspective, but also from a strategic perspective as well, so that we've got the internal, the external, and the full 360-degree view, so that no matter where you are in your business, there's going to be something tangible for you to take away from this episode to implement straight away. Now, firstly, before we dive in, I want to caveat a couple of things here, because you might be thinking like, why 20 to 50k? That's quite a broad number, especially when we're speaking in pounds and not dollars. That is quite a broad number. And I hear you and I get it. And also, it's not. Because when you're dealing in high ticket offers, which many of you are, and many are, if you're not already, are aspiring to, then that is only the difference between a couple of clients, couple of sales. And so I kind of want you to, even though I've put the number in this episode title, so I know that this is going to attract people who are like, yeah, I want to increase my monthly revenue, I want to get more clients, I want to get a better paying clients, and get the more money driven people. I get you, ex sales. I am you, so I totally get it. But I also want to encourage you to zoom out from the monetary figure. Because if you're only focusing on, let's say, your first 20k month, your first 30k month, it's likely that you're actually not thinking big enough. Because if you're here listening to this podcast, whether you're already working with high ticket offers or not, whether you're already working with high ticket clients or not, you're someone that has the capabilities to change your circumstances quickly. I'm going to get into the how further into this episode, but I want you to just zoom out of placing your expectations or your goals on a certain figure and what you think that should look like. Let's zoom out a little bit, because whether you're thinking, right, if I was to do that launch and if I had 10 people in and that would equal that, and if I was to launch this group offer at this price point and enroll this number of people and it's likely that you're killing so much of your natural pizzazz and your natural intuition, because you're thinking so hard about the strategy and what percentage of people or what your conversion rates are or what your click-through rates are, that you're actually killing so much of your own magnetic joy that you're not leaving room for magic to happen. And I can say this as your very strategy trained sales queen who is also very available for big magic. I can say this having spent a decade in sales, having done so much sales training, so much of the technical know-how, have been inside male-led masterminds where they get so the strategy and the nuance and the conversion rates and the data, and I love all of that stuff. It really, really makes me tick, and the masculine energy like needs that. We need the structure and the predictability and the data and all of that, whilst also keeping in mind that we're actually not men, and we have a certain amount of intuition and magic, and I don't know how it's going to happen, but it just will somehow, and it does, that men can't explain or do or replicate. And so we need the balance of both. And so for some of you, you're going to listen to this episode and the more of the strategy part will really, really land for you, because for you, with where you're at right now, you actually do need more structure. We need more strategy. We need more of the nuts and bolts and the what is the process in place that will allow us to get to where we want to go to. But for some of you, you know the strategy. It's not that you don't know how to get to where you're going. It's that you haven't been the version of you required to get you where you want to go. You know full well what the steps are. You just haven't been fucking doing it for one reason or another. So, regardless of, and perhaps for some of you, we need a little refresher on all of those bits, because you know a little bit of the how, but you also haven't been your best self, your most main character self, to be able to actualize that plan. And perhaps that this will be a really good refresher, whilst for some of you, this is going to be the first time you're hearing some of this stuff and you're coming into 2026 with a very different game plan, a very different vision, and just wanting to be a very different version of yourself to actualize not just your visions and your dreams, but what you know you're capable of doing and being, especially the high achievers among you, because I know that your vision for who you are, what you can do, what you're capable of is so big that your own frustrations about not getting there yet are the biggest things that's going on for you right now. So this is your episode that's going to be a bit of a love, bit of a shove, and take what you need from it. So that's why I kept it broad on the revenue, 20 to 50k months, because for some of you, that is only a couple of steps. Only a couple of steps. And so for some of you, whether you're earlier in business or you've got lower priced offers, this is going to be the wake up call to see if you were to shift things, tweak things, change things, how much quicker it is that you could get to your goal. And whatever your revenue goal is, what I really want you to focus on here is, what is the minimum amount of steps that will allow me to get a good level of profitability coming through the business, a good level of freedom and flow? Because let's be honest, freedom is your monthly recurring revenue. The more freedom that you have, as in the more revenue you've got coming through, that isn't completely reliant on you doing everything. You being the one that, how can we get to, let's say your goal is 40k months. How can we get to 40k months in as fewer steps as possible? Because if there's two versions of you and one is doing 40k months, but she's having to work every hour of every day, and she's getting that, but she's doing it through 40 clients that are saying yes to a 1k product, yes, she's hit her goal, but my God, she's exhausted. Is that freedom? No. She's hit a great revenue goal, but she's absolutely exhausted. She's likely not sleeping very well. She's got no actual time freedom to be able to either travel or see her friends or spend time with family or go see new places or explore the world or whatever it is that her personal goals are. Whereas if there's the other version of you that gets to 40k months through, I don't know, 4 high ticket clients or even 2 very high ticket clients, or off the top of my head, 8 lower or mid ticket clients, that's the same level of revenue goal through far fewer steps. So we want to uncomplicate things when we're trying to look at how can we get you the most amount of efficiency towards your revenue goal, whilst also giving you so much back of your time, your freedom, which then will give you so much more creative energy that you can use to bring that back. And whether that is you bring that into your content, or you have like a production day that you're so much more inspired to create better content. Maybe you go serve your clients at an even better level. Maybe you are either creating a new training or creating a new asset that you can use in the business again and again and again because of the energy and time that you've got back. Woo! This has been an awesome little offcut, but I know that someone needed to hear that today. So let's get into the actual episode title. The reason why you're not yet making 20 to 50k months, or that you know that you're capable of making. This is a rundown of the most common things that I see happening with my clients, especially the ones who have all of the potential but aren't quite hitting the numbers that they want to yet. And I say that yet because I work with people who are all levels in terms of their level of expertise, their level of run rate through the business, right from people who are super early in their business but very excited and have got a very, very clear vision, through to people who are already doing 50k months plus and have got a very different business structure, very different team, very different operational level. And so no matter where you're at in your business journey, you're going to get value from this episode. So let's break it down into 2 different pieces as to the reason why you're not doing 20 to 50k months right now. Because most of you are solid in one area, or at least more confident in one area, but everyone needs both, and you need to be great at both. What you need most in which season will depend on you. So as I say, take what you need, leave what you don't, come back to this in the future, share it with a friend who needs to hear this. So piece number 1 is the identity piece. This is number 1 of this side is your vision, the impact that you're here to have on the world, the ripple effect across your people, your community, and that can be online or offline or both, and the people who experience your work no matter where they are in the world. This is your level of seriousness and the intention about how big you can go with that, and your determination to make it happen. So what is your vision? Are you clear on that? Is your audience clear on that? Have you actually reinforced that with people? Have you told people, hey, this is where we're going? Are you coming? This is what I'm about. This is what this community is about. So that people who are your people can come with you on your journey. People who share your values, share your beliefs, and are excited about how you're leading people forward can come with you. And the people who aren't that right fit can carry on about their day. But your people can't come through until it is very clear what you're about, what makes you tick, where you're going, how you're going to get there. Have you actually shared what's important to you, why you give a fuck, so that your people who give a fuck about those same things can come with you on your journey? So, number one is your vision. Number two is your self concept, who you are to your core, not the version that you post online, the version of you behind the scenes in the quiet moments, whether that's first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Who is she? What does she truly think or believe about you? Whoop! Is she in line with your future seven-figure self? Or the version of you that you're building? Or is there a disconnect between her and the woman that you say you're becoming? Now, I'm going to insert here because for some people, myself included, you do not wake up as your most inspired seven-figure self. I'm going to put my hands up and say, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you'll know that I'm not a morning person. That's why I loved living out in Bali so much, is that I could get my mornings back to myself and I wasn't on for anybody. And that really, really suited me. And so I can quite honestly say, no, I don't wake up my seven-figure self. I'm also going to caveat that as well to come in and say how much more and better I am when I've had a longer sleep. I've really been learning recently that the difference between having 9 hours versus eight makes so much of a difference to me. So perhaps I could wake up as my seven-figure self if I got 9 hours consistently. Experiment ongoing. But anyway, as currently, no, I don't wake up as this version. But what are the things that you can bring in to get you to the person that you need to be on that day? What are the things in your main character energy toolbox, as I've called it before, that get you to who you need to be? And that looks different for each of you. Maybe for some of you, it's a certain playlist. That works for me because I love music. Maybe for some of you, it's movement. Maybe for some of you, it is certain foods and fuels. Maybe it's that you check in with your mastermind group first thing in the morning. Maybe it's that you have some quiet time to read a book that inspires you so that you've got that creative lift first thing in the morning. Whatever it is for you to get you into your most inspired self. But what I'm bringing it back into self concept is who you are to your core. Because if there is a disconnect between who you are and who you say you are online, it's not going to cut it. If you're posting all of this, big dick energy stuff and claiming that you've got this thing or you see this thing or this thing is happening, but behind the scenes you don't feel, and there's a disconnect between that version of you and the version of you that you are, people will feel it. Your energy will be off, your messaging will be off, that disconnect and that lack of integrity will seep through the business. And we don't want that. We don't want that. And we're not about that. So rather than that happening, we can just do the work to make sure that we are accurately presenting ourselves online and that you are who you say you are. And that your self concept is locked in so that when you're either speaking about yourself or your offers or your business or your clients or the impact that you're having, that is inspiring to listen to. You've done the work on you to be able to bring your best self forward. And it's not some fictitious version of you, it's your best self. And you get into that best self every freaking day, or at least on as many days as possible. Or you structure your week to be able to know when am I my most energized, and that's when I will structure my stuff so that I can be like really on those days, and I can allow the days in between to be like my energy recovery days. Take of that what you will. I 100% do that for myself. So there we go. Number three inside identity is your capacity. So this is your ability to hold more, whether it's more clients, more revenue, more responsibility, more challenges, more exposure, more people who don't agree with you, not just the ones that do. It's a bigger team, bigger financial responsibilities, bigger group sizes, more expectations from people. The list goes on and on and on. Now, if you don't feel able to hold more, you'll be subconsciously blocking that revenue from coming in because your nervous system is saying, I'm not ready. And so when we think about those things, are you doing the work? And this, again, this will look different on everyone. So for some of you, you might be like, I'm solid in this area, I'm good. Awesome. But for a lot of people, women especially, because we haven't been brought up to hold big businesses, this isn't something that's taught. We're the first in our lineage, in our generation, to be able to have opportunities like this, which means that this level of how you deal with this, we are the first ones going forward. We're the change makers. We're the trailblazers in this area. And so when you haven't got teachers or guidance in this area, or none that look like you, then it's really, really important that you're doing things that allow you to increase your capacity or allow you to explore if there's any blocks, what are those things, and how can we move through things. Again, that will look different for everybody. For some of you, it might just look like expressing a lot of energy, whether that's through like dance classes or movement. But for some of you, it'll look like, is there anything subconscious wise that like really freaks you out? Maybe for some of you, it's talking about these things inside your mastermind groups and being honest and being vulnerable on what's coming up. So, want to help you explore your capacity. If there's anything in you that there's like a resistance that will be coming through and it will be blocking your revenue. So, is out of listening through all the things that I've just said, is that resonating with you, or are you just like, no, I'm good, I want to get to this strategy? Or are you subconsciously, is there something, whether it's about like the price point of your offer, what is it about the if I was to do a 50k launch or a 100k launch, what would that mean? Is there anything that's coming up where you're thinking about having a bigger group size, whether that's 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, or the mountain of potential issues that could come with that, whether it's about payment plans, whether it's about people's expectations, whether it's about you needing to grow your team to be able to handle all of these people coming in. So bigger financial waves coming in means more responsibility. And so, are you grounded in your own identity to be able to handle that bigger capacity? Then on the other side, we've got the other piece, which is strategy. So, I'm going to break this down. Number one is your offers. When we're thinking about you growing to these increased cash months, whether it's 20k, 30k, 40k, 50k, your offers are the easiest way of getting you to this higher milestone. Because if you've got high ticket offers, clearly, when we're talking about how you can get to these bigger goals, obviously there's far fewer steps when you're working with an offer that might be 10k, 20k, because that's only a couple of clients for you. Versus when you're dealing with, let's say, 1 to 2k group programs or courses, of course, we need a lot more volume to be able to hit those higher numbers. Now, as I've said, the aim of business is not just to get caught up in what you're making per month. Because, for example, person A has got a 20k offer and they only sign one person a month. So you can say, right, they're making 20k months and they only have 12 people throughout the year. Versus the person who also makes 20k a month, but they do that through a 2k group program, let's say, and they sign 10 people a month into their group program. Who is more successful? Now, you might say, and this answer might be different for each of you, because for those of you that want simplicity, it might be that you answer that question to say, well, the person that only signed 2 clients but at high level, they're the ones who are winning because they've got a lot more freedom and it took them a lot less work to be able to get to that high figure. So they got to the end goal thinking about, what is that? Is it the hare and the tortoise? They sprinted to the finish line and got there in 2 steps. Awesome. Probably allowing them a lot more flexibility in their diary, a lot better ability to plan because they only need to sign 1 to 2 clients a month. They reasonably have a process or an expectation around that, so they can plan their whole year around that. So it gives them a lot more certainty. Whereas, and I'm just going to contrast myself here, because whilst that is the easiest route to go down, if you were to ask me who has got to be better at business, I would say it's the person who is doing 10 people a month at 2k. Reason being is the person selling a low ticket offer at volume has got to be far better at creating volume, at creating content, at creating momentum, at creating demand to be able to do 10 sales in the space that this person is doing two. So that person selling low ticket offers at volume has to be so much better at sales, marketing, demand than the person who's only got to get two yeses at a high ticket offer. So I might have just contrasted myself because if you were to ask me who is the better salesperson, who is the better business owner, my answer in this context would say person B, who's doing low ticket, has to be a better business owner to be able to pull that off. Because it takes, if you've got the same amount of sales conversations, of course, someone that's got to do 10 in the space that someone else has got to do two has to be building a high level of demand to be able to meet that same expectation. Has that person got to work a lot harder? Also, yes. So if we're just looking at sales skills, I would say person B has to be technically a lot better. If we're looking at who is smarter, okay, perhaps then I would say person A because they're getting to the same goal in far fewer steps. Um, which is the right model for you will depend on what level of lifestyle that you want to enjoy, as in that person B model. It's going to take a lot more in terms of content creation, demand, being visible, video, production, getting like building your empire basically, versus this person can do it fairly off the grid, maybe through their existing network, through maybe posting a couple of times a week. So huge variance in that outbound marketing and visibility and push and demand. But the other side of it is this person might not want to grow an empire. Perhaps they just want a couple of clients a month, high ticket, good cash flow, peace and ease. Absolutely fine. Perhaps this person is like, I want to build a global brand. I want to be known around the world. I want to have clients that follow me from every continent coming into my programs. I want to have things set up, whether it's like your funnels or your webinars or automated marketing lead capture things so that people can find you at any time and buy and come from you. So that even though you're creating a lot of demand going out in terms of content, that's all coming back in terms of the income and interest because of people found you online. So does this one take a lot more effort? Yes. Are the future rewards from this one significantly higher? Also, yes. Whoa, I've just got a whole little business case study here. But hopefully, this has given you some really good food for thought because your own goals should massively determine the level of offers that you're creating. Then this is why it's so much bigger than cash months because it might be that your goal is only to do 20 to 30 cash months and that be that. It might be that you fully intend to build your own empire. You're either at the beginning of your journey or you're someone with a massive vision and that you want to build a 7 or 8 figure brand, in which case you do want volume, you do want demand, and you are willing to work hard because you know that 20 to 30k months is just the beginning for you and that in the future it'll be 50k, 100k months as you're doing 7 figure years, in which case it's 100% worth putting in the extra effort now because you're building a very different business to person A. So I hope that you liked that little nuanced offcut there. Just talking about offers. Now, coming back into the points of this. So, number one, we were talking about offers and the do you have something in your product suite that would help you to get to where you want to go, ideally in as fewer steps as possible. Number two is your client experiences. Now, this is similar to offers, but I wanted to add when it comes to reasons why you're not there yet is why are you pigeonholing yourself into either micro offers or short-term experiences that keep you constantly launching and perpetually busy? I can say this because I've done it, and this applies to all of the things on here, by the way, might I add. Another thing that I wanted to add, which came out of a result of a client conversation in our mastermind yesterday, is And this is why I said at the start of this episode is zoom out from what the figure is, because you're so much bigger than the figure, and the less that you place importance on landing on that figure, the more likely you are to hit it. If all you're thinking about is 30k, 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 you might unconsciously sabotage yourself and actually not leave yourself enough room for creativity and ideas and just different ways that that can happen. I say this as what I don't want you to do is to get overly attached on this number to make it mean everything, because I'm coming to you as X sales, as in it did not matter how good you were the month before. It didn't matter if you were the best performer. It didn't matter if you had been salesperson of the month every freaking month of the year. When that new month starts and it comes to the first of the month, you go back to zero and everybody's on ground zero, start line again. And yesterday's news was yesterday's news. And so I can say all of this about detach yourself from the numbers as someone who has spent far too long obsessing about numbers, because it was built into me, because that was the culture of you're only as good as your last month. And that really made me place far too much, and has throughout my journey made me place far too much emphasis on being only as good as my most recent numbers, which kills so much more of your creativity, your expertise, and your really ability to make a difference in this world. And so I know that this is going to resonate with some of you, whether you're early in your journey and you're like, damn, I've just come from out of corporate and I've been used to this big salary and it's going to take me a while to build that back up. Or I landed a really big client 3 months ago, but that hasn't happened recently. And now I feel really down in the dumps. And am I good enough to do that same level again? Where I know that there are people that this is going to resonate with. And so I want to lovingly, I'm going to give you a hug first to say, I see you, I get you, I understand you, I've been you. And then I want to give you a shove to be like, if you've done it before, you can fucking do it again. And just because it hasn't happened in the last day, week, month, even if it hasn't even happened in the last year, you've done it before, the evidence is there. So I'm speaking to you guys to be like, fuck what has ever happened recently. You're the one that creates your own reality. You know you can do it, so go and fricking do it. Your expertise and your ability to make massive impact for people and like genuinely change people's lives doesn't change just because you haven't signed a client of that level recently. If you're constantly progressing, you're always going to be signing either a new level of client or a new level of business or a new industry or a new company size, or you're creating a new offer. Like there's always going to be a new level of something that you haven't done at that point, because that's the whole point of growth. And so if you're always going to be not quite there yet, might as well fucking enjoy it. This is why I don't think imposter syndrome is a thing. I think it's a good thing. You should be constantly growing. You should be constantly stretching. Like, what an opportunity. If you haven't felt imposter syndrome for a while, it's because you're not stretching yourself. Now, coming back into that, I just talked to the people who, if you've done it before, you know you can do it again. And now I'm going to come back in nicely to say, even if you haven't done it before, precisely. There's plenty of you who've got a really high level of expertise, whether that's you've come from different corporate roles, different backgrounds, different life experiences. You've got so much value to bring with the world that your revenue hasn't yet caught up with where you are. And so I'm speaking to you guys because get used to that disconnect. You are brilliant, magnificent. You've got so much to bring to the world. Of course, your revenue hasn't yet caught up with your brilliance. Don't use that as something to beat yourself up with, as a frustration because you're not making X amount of months yet, and that in your eyes makes you not credible, because that's absolute bullshit. And so throw that out immediately. You're operating in an industry that I appreciate, where a lot is given to how much money you're making as a level of authority, as an authority builder. But when you're earlier in your journey, you have to have massive self-trust and massive conviction to know that what you're bringing to the table is quality, irrespective of whatever your revenue figures are this month, last 6 months, last year. And so wherever you're at in your journey, come back into you, and to take this moment to be grounded in who the fuck you are, what you bring to the table. Nobody else is you, and that is your superpower. Does not matter what your revenue figures were last month, the month before, last 6 months, last year. That does not change your ability to change someone's life today. Today! Somebody needs to hear this today. I think a lot of you need to hear this. And so let me know, send me a message on Insta or LinkedIn if this is landing for you. Let me come back into this training. I'm going on lots of little offcuts today, but I know that they are exciting and valuable. And this will be one of the episodes that I come back to and listen to myself. Yes, I listen to the podcast sometimes, but this I feel is going to land. And so, yeah, coming back in where we were speaking about client experiences and offering either micro offers or short-term experiences that keep you constantly busy, perpetually busy, constantly in launch mode because you're only dealing with small price points and therefore you have to do volume. You're not here to create offers, you're here to create industry-leading experiences. High-level experiences with depth, with soul, with character, with nuance. So why aren't you? If you're listening to this and you're like, whoop, called out, awesome. And if you are someone that have been toying with this idea, or maybe you've done it in the past and you've distanced yourself away because you've been thinking, oh, I need to offer something that's cheaper or a lower price point or a shorter length to just get some cash in and get some momentum within the business and then I'll come back up to high ticket. No, you can just decide not to do that today because what if you were to either to create some sort of experience that not only would your clients really love and happily pay a high price point for, but that you would love to host and create? Whether that is a VIP day, for example, whether that is a 7-day immersive experience, maybe it's some sort of fast track service, maybe it's something when we think about what is that triad where it's got fast, good, cheap or something like that. I forget what the name of it is, but it's that concept that you can have something good and fast, but you can't have it cheap. You can have something cheap and fast, but it won't be good. You can have something good and cheap, but it won't be fast. And so knowing those things, you don't want to be cheap. You want something that's good, and if they can get it faster, people will happily pay more for it because we live in an attention society and people want things faster all the time. So, how can you add either speed or quality into your services to be able to increase the price point and offer something that is luxurious? High end, depth, nuance. Bring more of this into your offers. You don't need to just do surface level shit and just get it out en masse, especially if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of momentum in the business. Doing surface level, low ticket offers is not going to change the trajectory of your business if you don't already have either a massive audience or a good level of cash flow coming through the business from your existing core offers, so that then you can focus on these low ticket things to add a little bit more volume. Make sure you've got high level momentum and volume coming through first before looking at micro offers and short term experiences, so that you don't keep yourself perpetually busy. Okay, number 4 is your content. So this is reason number 4 about why you're not hitting these high cash months yet. Your content is not commanding high ticket pricing. If you're saying that you want to be able to welcome 10, 20k clients into your world, but your content isn't showing the unique frustrations that this level of client is experiencing, it's not going to happen. You know that you're capable of serving this level of client, but until your content shows that, those people won't see you as a match for what they're looking for. So if you up-level your content, you will up-level the level of person that you're attracting in. This nuance really comes in, and I teach this inside the masterminds, and every time I do a content session, people say to me, oh my God, how do you get like so specific and how do you just come out with this stuff? And I'm like, because I get inside the mindset of someone who is experiencing this thing and this is a day-to-day problem in their life and they want it solved. This is the level of nuance that you can get into when you create content from that perspective. Someone is going to read that post and be like, oh my God, can she see inside my head? This is A, what you should be creating your offers, this level of nuance. But B, once you've got all of that messaging, that's what should be forming your content going forwards. You create it once for your offer and then you pull it out into pieces of content that you can share across on the internet, but it's based on the messaging for your offer of what your lived clients' experiences is or are. So get more specific of your high level clients, nuanced problems. Use that in your content, up level your content, and up level the level of person that you're attracting in. Number 5 is your repeatable sales process. Perhaps it's non-existent. Perhaps you don't know what you're doing month to month, and so you've got no actual idea about what's working well, how you're refining it over time, what your plan to increase your results are month by month. And perhaps your business is built on guesswork. Now, there's a little bit of when you're in your early stages, you just need to go. You just need to do as much as you can because you need to just, what is that phrase? Get messy and break shit or something like that. You need to do a bit of that to find out what lands for you, what works for you. But as you build more momentum, as you build more refining, you need to have a repeatable sales process. And I'm speaking not as the, well, in fact, I'm speaking exactly as the right hand brain, intuitive, love freedom, love flow, love creativity. And I would happily and have in the past created new offers at least once a month, if not multiple offers or multiple new trainings every single month throughout years. Now, does that speak to me and my creative brain? And do I love to work in that way? Yes, absolutely. Does that keep me perpetually busy? Because that kept me diluted in multiple different places. It gave me so many different messages to create and be constantly marketing and launching for every new offer. Yeah, that sales process wasn't repeatable, or it's not at scale. As in, if you want to enjoy more time freedom, if you want to travel more and catch, in the last couple of years, I've had flights that have been 12 to 15 hours. And this was before Wi-Fi was much better on planes as well. And so I might just be offline for chunks at a time. And so there needs to be processes in place, even for the creative folk, even for the people who like to launch regularly or like that newness. You still need a proven method that is constantly working for you, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every freaking month. So, what is your process? If someone was to come in and let's say you stepped out of the business for a month and they had to do that thing and you said, here's how we get sales, here's how we sign our 20k clients per month, or here's how we sign our 10 clients into the 2k offer, here's what we do, and somebody else was to do it for you, could they do that? Or is it all reliant on you? I talk about freedom all the time, but you're never going to have freedom if it's not underpinned with process. And I know some of you who are the right hand brain thinkers or the more intuitive people like me hear the word process and you're like, ooh. For some of you, you're like, yes, process, structure, rigidity, reliability. And this is it. We need a bit of both, as in the more freedom, as in the more process we have, the more freedom you have. And that is the honest reality. If you don't have enough process or structure, you can only freedom so far because you will be constantly busy, constantly doing new things, and constantly having to keep bouncing the ball because there's nothing actually, there's no pillars holding the ball up. So, this is your wake up call. The more pillars that you bring in of the stuff that you don't need to be doing every month, the more you can bounce the ball elsewhere, or the higher you can bounce it, or the more time you can spend just not bouncing the ball. Wild concept, I know. So, what is your repeatable process? How are you bringing in new leads, new prospects, new clients, month in, month out? And so, all of these things play a part, and you can experience some of them or all of them in different seasons in your business. None of these are quick fixes. And what you need most in each season is an individual experience that only a mentor who knows you, knows your business, knows your personality, can see what sort of season you're in right now, can support you best with. If you want that to be me, let me know. Come inside one of my masterminds so that I can support you with this, because it might be that you're in a season where you've got good strategy, you know how to create content, you've got a repeatable process. Like, yes, there's constantly refining and things that you can tweak, but your process works, but you're just feeling a little flat. You're not the most inspired or magnetic version of you to be able to create engaging content or to actually be the one that's driving this business forward. Or it might be that you're, full of energy, enthusiastic, your vision is locked in, you've got a solid self-concept, like you are the leader that your people are looking for, but that actually they're so confused with you constantly either changing your process every month or changing your offers every month or just talking about five different things in a week that there's no strategy that is working. You're getting bits and bobs here and there, but there's nothing repeatable and scalable in there. And that's why you're not yet hitting the high cash months that you know you're capable of. Is because the momentum isn't there. We've got evidence that it's there. People are signing, people are buying, but not at the level and frequency that you know you're capable of. So, if this landed for you, come and tell me on social media. I love to hear. Was it more of the identity stuff that landed for you? Was it more of the strategy stuff that landed for you? Or was it some of the little offcuts of somebody needs to hear this today? Let me know. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I've absolutely freaking loved recording it for you. Um, and so, if you're interested to join the masterminds, come and let me know. We've got She Sells and She Scales. She Sells is for people who are mastering their online sales and building that momentum, building that demand, getting better at content, and learning how to create inbound leads coming into their business from their online presence. She Scales is for the people who have mastered that. You've already got a good level of cash flow coming through, good level of clients coming through. You've built a solid brand and reputation, and you're now scaling that to become either a global brand, if that's what you're focusing on, or you're really leveraging the momentum you've already got to do much bigger visibility, much bigger responsibility, much bigger leadership, whether it's live events, whether it's exploding on your channels, whatever it is for you, whatever scaling looks like for you. So you've got She Sells, She Scales. Let me know which is the best for you. I'll drop the links below. In the meantime, I've absolutely loved this episode. If you're not already as well, come inside the free She Scales Facebook group so that you can meet the other members. We have weekly lives going on in there, as well as monthly community connectors. So at the time we're recording this, we've got one coming up this week on the last Thursday of the month. So you can come along and meet awesome other women inside the She Scales community. All right, my loves, that's everything for today. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I can't wait to speak to you soon. Toodaloo!